Welcome to the AI Law Briefing Podcast and the disclaimer. This podcast contains content generated or significantly edited using artificial intelligence tools. All information is provided for general informational purposes only and reflects knowledge available at the time of publication. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. We recommend that listeners verify the information independently and consult with qualified professionals for personalized advice. Welcome to the AI Law Briefing Podcast.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really jumping straight into a deep dive. Things are moving incredibly fast and has direct implications for your work, especially if you're a legal professional in the EU or Luxembourg.
Absolutely. The pace is just phenomenal right now.
We're going to unpack the very latest in AI, focusing quite a bit on large language models, LLMs, how they're developing, and crucially, the regulatory updates and, practical tools you need to be aware of right now.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of.
Definitely. We've pulled together a whole stack of sources for this, looking at the newest announcements from the big AI providers. Think OpenAI, Google AI, Anthropic, Microsoft, Meta, even XAI. And we're pairing that with official updates from EU and Luxembourg legal and regulatory bodies. We're really focusing on developments from late May 2025, that kind of time frame.
So really current stuff.
Exactly. And our mission, well, it's simple. To be your shortcut. Cut through all the noise, highlight the most important nuggets of knowledge for you.
So you can quickly grasp what's happening and understand the implications.
Right, for your practice, for your clients. Okay, let's unpack this. The AI landscape.
Yeah.
Wow, it's evolving with, dizzying speed. Just looking at the past week or so and other recent significant announcements.
Yeah. The major LLM providers certainly haven't been standing still. You've got OpenAI, Google AI, Anthropic, Microsoft, Meta AI, XAI. They're all pushing out new models, new features, strategic announcements almost constantly.
And looking across all these updates, there's a really clear trend emerging, isn't there?
Definitely. The drive is intensely focused on improving reliability, enhancing security, building in features for auditability, and developing sort of more sophisticated AI agents and specialized models.
And the why behind that is critical for you listening. This isn't just AI getting generally better.
No, it's a direct response to what professional fields like law are demanding. You simply cannot compromise on trustworthiness and dependability in legal work.
Exactly. They're building for the enterprise, for professional use. Let's look at some specifics on what they mean for legal practice. OpenAI, for instance.
Yeah, OpenAI is definitely one to watch. They're anticipating GPT 4.5, and the research from OpenAI suggests it's expected to have fewer hallucinations, better factual accuracy than previous models.
Which, for legal research and drafting, a hallucination isn't just an error, it could be malpractice, right?
Yeah.
So improved reliability is absolutely paramount.
Totally. And remember, their 03 and 04 mini models, released back in April, updated mid-May, they came with advanced reasoning and comprehensive tool access.
Like what browsing, code execution, file analysis, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And that full tool access is significant. If you're doing due diligence, the AI can now potentially analyze external info or documents you upload directly. It's not just relying on its training data.
That enhances its capability quite a bit.
For sure. And then there's Codex, their software engineering agent, launched May 16th, 2025, optimized for coding.
Okay, so maybe not directly legal, but
its agentic capabilities, the ability to perceive, decide, act towards a goal, and its specialized training, that's the signal. It hints at future tools tailored specifically for legal tasks, maybe reviewing smart contracts or analyzing software in M&A deals.
Interesting. And what about their long-term vision, that ambient computer layer?
Yeah. Discussed late May 2025. It's this idea of a future screenless, highly personal AI experience. They even acquired a company called IO.
Sounds a bit sci-fi still.
It does, but it points towards a fundamental shift, eventually, in how lawyers might interact with information and AI, moving beyond just typing prompts.
Okay. Let's move on to Google AI and Gemini. Big news from Google I/O in May and announcements late May, early June. Gemini 2.5 Pro and Flash updates.
Right. Gemini 2.5 Flash is now the default in the Gemini app, and it's becoming generally available on Vertex AI in early June 2025. It's built for speed and cost efficiency.
Good for high-volume, lower-cost tasks, then.
Precisely. Google's evaluations suggest it uses 20-30% fewer tokens, but still has improved reasoning and multimodal understanding. Then you have Gemini 2.5 Pro, expected on Vertex AI soon after Flash.
That's their top-tier model.
Yeah, the flagship for complex tasks. Google reports leading performance in coding and reasoning benchmarks. But for lawyers, the really key feature is its 1 million token context window.
1 million tokens, that's huge.
It's critical. It means the model can potentially process, an entire case file, a massive stack of contracts, all at once, something most previous models just couldn't handle.
What else is new with Gemini?
They've introduced thought summaries on Vertex AI. This feature basically organizes the AI's internal reasoning process into a clear format. Google says it improves clarity and auditability.
Okay, that sounds highly valuable for legal professionals. Being able to see how the AI got the answer, not just the answer itself.
Exactly. It's a big step towards addressing that black box concern, building trust.
Is there more?
There's also deep think mode for Gemini 2.5 Pro, though it's experimental right now. Google says it uses novel techniques to consider multiple hypotheses before responding, aimed at complex stuff like advanced math or coding.
Interesting. Potential for complex legal analysis there, maybe interpreting tricky statutes or conflicting case law.
Potentially, yes, if it proves reliable. And on security, Google reports the Gemini 2.5 family has significantly increased protection against indirect prompt injection attacks. They're calling it their most secure model family to date.
Which, given sensitive client data, is paramount, not just a nice to have.
Absolutely essential. They also have Gemini Live, a free app feature letting you interact using your camera or screen sharing, with plans for deeper integration into other apps.
I can actually see uses for that, quickly explaining a visual point in a document or collaborating on review with AI assistants on screen.
Could be quite useful. And don't forget Notebook LM, Google's AI research assistant. Mobile apps launched May 19th.
And they added mind maps recently.
Yeah, May 28th. Lets you visually explore connections within your source documents. Notebook LM already has smart summaries and audio overviews, turning documents into podcast-style summaries.
Those mind maps could be really good for case strategy, couldn't they? Visualizing links between evidence or arguments from a ton of material.
Potentially very powerful for structuring complex information.
Okay, let's switch to Anthropic and Claude. They released Claude Opus 4 and Sonnet 4 on May 22nd.
Right. Anthropic is touting them as setting new benchmarks for coding, advanced reasoning, and AI agents. They say these models can use multiple tools simultaneously and follow instructions with greater precision.
What about reliability? That's always the question.
Well, Anthropic reports a key improvement here. They say these models are 65% less likely to engage in shortcut or loophole behaviors compared to older versions.
So directly addressing output dependability, critical for precise legal work.
Exactly. They also announced new API capabilities on May 22nd for Building Agents a Code Execution Tool, MCP connector, Files API, extended prompt caching.
So better document processing, workflow automation, maybe even cost savings for some tasks.
That's the idea. And Anthropic also activated ASL3, AI Safety Level 3 protections on the same day, showing a commitment to safety measures, which is important for adoption in risk-averse fields like law.
What about Microsoft? Copilot saw a lot of updates in May 2025.
Yeah, a whole flurry. Upgraded image generation, quiz cards, Copilot as an Android assistant option, new vision updates, Copilot pages worldwide, and deep research for pro users.
That deep research feature and Copilot pages sound directly relevant for legal research and drafting.
They are. And a practical point, they increased the file upload limit to 50 millib on May 2nd, useful for larger legal documents within Copilot.
And a Microsoft build.
They announced the Azure AI Foundry MCP server update. It aims to unify interaction with Azure AI services using natural language, could simplify building custom legal AI solutions on Azure.
Okay. And the Azure AI Agent Service.
That became generally available in May 2025. It's a direct enabler for sophisticated legal automation. Lets you create AI agents to automate complex processes, maybe integrating with Azure Logic apps. Think automating parts of a discovery workflow.
Useful. Anything else from Microsoft?
They also announced LLM logging and AI gateway capabilities within Azure API Management GA on May 23rd, important for firms needing to audit and monitor LLM usage for governance and compliance.
Right, okay. Meta AI, Llama models.
Yeah, sources indicate they're actively developing the Llama 4 series Scout, Maverick, Behemoth with multimodal functions, often available open source or via cloud partners.
And the big news for Europe, their data training policy change.
Yes. Effective June 26, 2025. Meta plans to use public EU user posts from Facebook and Instagram for AI training. There was a May 27th opt-out deadline.
That's definitely raised some eyebrows, hasn't it?
understandably, concerns from privacy groups, and it's highly relevant for lawyers advising on data privacy, consent, what public data means, also impacts law firms' own social media strategy and data governance.
Good point. Finally, XAI and Grok.
They announced a partnership with Telegram on May 29th, integrating Grok into Telegram apps, expands the user base significantly.
And the financial aspects signal interesting monetization models, too.
Right. Though one supporting source did mention a stat about European firms banning Grok, something like 1 in 4, needs cautious interpretation, but it hints at potential perception issues or concerns around reliability or governance in the European market, maybe.
Interesting. So across the board, a real push towards more reliable, secure, auditable AI.
Absolutely. It feels like a foundational shift, driven by the demands of professional fields like law. Moving beyond general AI to tools designed for enterprise needs security, verifiability, workflow integration.
Which brings us squarely to the elephant in the room for legal AI adoption. Hallucinations.
The absolute critical barrier. Where factual accuracy is non-negotiable, hallucinations are just unacceptable.
And providers know this. They're all intensely focused on mitigation, right?
They are. OpenAI with GPT 4.5 explicitly expects it to hallucinate less and excel at factual accuracy. Supporting info suggests significant improvement over GPT 4.0.
In Google.
Gemini 2.5 Pro and Flash tackle reliability via thought summaries for transparency, advanced security against prompt injection, and that experimental deep think mode exploring multiple hypotheses. Google is framing these as key to trustworthiness.
Anthropic, too.
Yes, Claude Opus 4 and Sonnet 4 are engineered for significantly reduced shortcut behaviors, 65% less likely, they report. That directly addresses dependability for precise legal work. Plus, their ASL3 safety measures underscore that commitment.
This intense focus, it's clearly a direct response. They know lawyers won't use tools they can't trust or verify.
Exactly. But, and this is crucial, we have to maintain cautious optimism. And more importantly, robust human verification practices for all AI outputs are still non-negotiable.
Features like thought summaries are aids for oversight, not replacements for it.
Precisely. They enable your professional duty to review, they don't remove it.
So, given this fast-moving landscape, what does this mean practically for you, the lawyer listening? Let's talk actionable best practices, drawing from sources like the ABA and others.
Okay, first up, prompt engineering. The ABA calls it essentially a method of conducting direct examination of an AI. Basically, how you ask the AI questions to get useful, reliable answers.
What are the key tips?
Clarity and specificity are paramount. Include jurisdiction, specific facts, timeframes. Use precise keywords like you would in a legal database search. Define the scope, the 5 W's and H, who, what, where, when, why, how.
Specify the output format you need to, right?
Oh, right. Yes. And use iterative refinement. If the first answer isn't quite right, tweak your prompt. There are resources like AWS Labs starting to offer training in this area.
Second, and this is huge, data privacy, especially client data.
This is the cardinal rule. The ABA is crystal clear. Never input client-specific or privileged data into unsecured consumer-grade AI platforms. Absolutely non-negotiable.
So you need secure enterprise platforms.
Yes, where you have contractual data protection guarantees, firm-level control, and you understand the vendor's data retention policies. Depending on the situation, informed client consent aligned with rules like ABA Model Rule 1.6 might also be necessary.
And vendor policies differ here.
They do. Microsoft Copilot data stays in your M365 tenant. Anthropic uses standard contractual clauses for EU data. Google AI on Vertex AI offers regional data controls. You have to read the fine print, the contract terms.
Okay, third point, verifying the AI output.
Again, non-negotiable. The ABA guidance is unequivocal. Responsibility for the final work product remains squarely with the attorney. You must thoroughly review, fact-check, citation-check everything.
We've sadly seen cases of court sanctions already for briefs with hallucinated facts or citations.
Right. You cannot trust AI implicitly. You must cross-reference every critical piece of information against trusted primary sources, period.
Fourth, workflow integration. How do you start?
It really begins with a strategic assessment in your firm. Identify those repeatable, time-consuming tasks where AI might help drafting initial research memos, summarizing deposition transcripts, comparing contract clauses.
Then select the right tools.
Yes, carefully understanding their data handling and security, and crucially, implement mandatory training for everyone using these tools, and develop clear internal policies on responsible use, data handling, and verification steps.
We're also seeing more audio features, Gemini Live, Notebook LM, audio overviews, Copilot voices.
Yeah, they offer potential efficiencies, but you also need to think carefully about privacy and accuracy if using them with confidential legal information.
Let's drill down specifically into hallucination mitigation techniques lawyers can use.
Okay. A key one is retrieval augmented generation, or RAG.
RAG. Could you explain that simply?
Sure. RAG basically means the AI system first looks up relevant information from a specific trusted external data set, maybe your firm's internal documents, a private legal database, a specific set of case files before it generates an answer.
So it grounds the AI in facts you provide.
Exactly. The benefits are huge. Better accuracy, dramatically fewer hallucinations because it's based on verifiable facts, and it overcomes the model's knowledge cutoff date.
Use cases in law.
Research within your firm's knowledge base, answering questions based on specific provided case law, document review, due diligence on a specific company using their data room docs. Services like Azure AI Search support RAG.
What else helps mitigate hallucination?
Careful prompt structuring, as we discussed, guides the AI better. Being aware of the knowledge cutoff date for models without live web access is important. Using model parameters like temperature, if you have that control, can make outputs less random.
But the ultimate safeguard is still
Human verification, cross-referencing and fact-checking against trusted primary sources. Cannot emphasize that enough.
and leveraging those transparency features.
Yes. Use things like Google's thought summaries or any audit trails the system offers. They let you scrutinize the AI's reasoning, show its workings. This helps detect unsupported logical leaps or incorrect assumptions, tackling the black box issue and aligning with your due diligence standards.
Beyond the core LLMs, what other AI developments are relevant for legal? AI agents, for instance.
Right. AI agents are becoming more sophisticated. Think of them simply as AI systems that can perceive, decide, and act to achieve goals, often using an LLM as their brain.
And in a legal context?
They could potentially automate routine tasks, conduct complex multi-step research, analyze documents based on rules, provide decision support for contract review, e-discovery management, things like that.
We're seeing advancements from the major providers here.
Yes, OpenAI's Codex, Anthropic's new API features, Google's Agent Mode, Microsoft's Azure AI Agent Service, they're all building capabilities. The LLM provides the smarts, the agent architecture orchestrates the actions.
And cephalized models.
We're starting to see those too. Google has MedGemma for medical text images, SignGemma for sign language.
Suggests a future with specialized legal models.
It certainly hints at it. Models potentially tailored for niche areas of law or specific types of document analysis requiring deep domain knowledge.
And that OpenAI ambient computer layer vision.
While futuristic, it signals a potential long-term shift in how we interact with AI, maybe fundamentally changing legal workflows down the line.
So these developments point to a future where AI is more deeply embedded, moving beyond general assistance to more targeted functions.
Exactly. It's important for you to stay informed not just about the tools, but how the very structure of legal practice might reshape over time.
Okay, let's zoom in on one specific example. Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro. What do the sources suggest about its potential specifically for legal applications?
Well, Google positions it as their most advanced model, really designed for complex tasks, coding, sophisticated reasoning. This was all highlighted at Google I/O in May 2025.
And access is via.
The Gemini app's advanced tier, Google AI Studio for developers, and it's coming soon to Google Cloud's Vertex AI platform for enterprise deployment.
What functionalities make it particularly relevant for the legal sector?
Several stand out. Advanced document analysis and comprehension is a big one, largely thanks to that huge 1 million token context window. Sources like Harvey AI's Big Law Bench evaluation noted its leading performance on long-form inputs, suggesting it handles dense legal docs well.
What about reasoning?
Its capacity for complex legal reasoning is highlighted by Google's claims of top performance on benchmarks like GPQA. That's crucial for interpreting statutes, case law, complex contracts. Its coding and code analysis skills are relevant for legal tech, smart contracts, IP disputes involving software.
Synthesis and summarization.
Yes, strong capabilities there too. Demonstrated ability to create chronological summaries from disparate sources like call logs and emails, hugely useful for case narratives. It offers drafting support, like generating detailed outlines for briefs based on large inputs.
And transactional work.
Sources highlight its capacity for transactional due diligence, extracting and summarizing key provisions from multiple agreements simultaneously. And also transaction structuring analysis, performing comprehensive comprehensive comparative analyses of financial options.
So summarizing the strengths for legal pros: handling huge documents, sophisticated reasoning, multimodal capabilities, and those enterprise features on Vertex AI, like thought summaries and advanced security.
Those are the key positives based on the sources.
What about weaknesses or considerations?
Well, it's very new, announced May 2025, so real-world legal validation is still needed. Cost implications are a factor. Pro will be higher tier. Pricing details are still emerging. Deep think mode is experimental. And, as always, the risk of over-reliance means human review is absolutely essential.
Let's talk hallucination propensity and mitigation, specifically for Gemini 2.5 Pro. Google's actively working on this.
Yes, through features and the underlying architecture. Thought summaries on Vertex AI is key here. It gives you that window into the AI's reasoning process.
Allowing lawyers to scrutinize the how, not just the what.
Exactly. You can check the logic, spot unsupported steps, detect potential hallucinations or incorrect connections. It's a significant step against the black box problem, aligning well with legal due diligence.
And advanced security.
That increased protection against prompt injection attacks contributes to reliability by making the model more robust against manipulation critical for sensitive data.
What about deep think mode's approach?
The idea of considering multiple hypotheses before answering conceptually reduces the risk of premature, flawed conclusions, a bit like a human expert considering different angles.
Are there other general improvements?
Google states the core architecture aims for better reasoning before responding. And while not a direct anti-hallucination fix, that large context window theoretically helps by reducing the chance the model forgets info across long texts, which can lead to ungrounded outputs.
So the transparency features really shift the interaction towards scrutiny.
Yes, enabling the human lawyer to verify, which fits legal standards.
Okay, can we give some concrete legal examples or use cases where Gemini 2.5 Pro's features seem particularly well suited?
Sure. Given the 1 million token context window, large-scale e-discovery document review is a strong potential use case. Also, complex contract analysis and comparison across numerous agreements.
Due diligence.
Definitely. Transactional due diligence in M&A, processing vast data room documents, assisting with legal research and memorandum drafting by synthesizing large amounts of text, and regulatory compliance analysis, reviewing lengthy, complex regulations.
There's an interesting point here about temporary specialization.
Right. A powerful generalist model like this, with its huge context window, can be effectively temporarily specialized just by feeding it vast amounts of domain-specific text, your firm's case history, client transaction docs, specific regulations.
Turning it into a temporary expert grounded in that specific material.
Exactly. Provided you have high-quality data and use good prompting, this approach democratizes access to sophisticated analysis for specific tasks without needing full custom model training.
So practical tips if you're considering using Gemini 2.5 Pro.
First, actively use thought summaries on Vertex AI. Make reviewing them standard practice for critical outputs. Keep an eye out for features like thinking budgets expected soon to help manage cost versus output depth.
Experiment with deep think mode.
Once it's fully available, yes. Learn how to prompt it effectively for your most complex questions. Use the long context window strategically format info well for tasks that genuinely need full comprehension.
And the golden rule.
Maintain human expertise and oversight. AI augments, it doesn't replace professional judgment. Thorough review is essential.
And for EO Luxembourg lawyers specifically.
Understand data privacy on Vertex AI. Know Google Cloud's DPA, their security terms. Ensure alignment with GDPR, especially for EU client data. Utilize their regional controls.
Right. Okay, let's shift gears now to the practical tools and platforms, the Lawyer's AI Toolkit, with a focus on Luxembourg and EU factors.
When looking at tools, you often face that choice. A big platform versus a specific point solution.
Flexibility versus user-friendliness.
Kind of. Platforms offer flexibility for custom builds or deep integration. Point solutions are pre-built for specific tasks, often easier to adopt initially. But key for either is rigorous vendor due diligence, especially on data security and compliance.
Let's review the major platforms with legal relevance and EU considerations. OpenAI.
Access via ChatGPT API. They do offer an EU data residency option for the API.
Google AI.
Gemini app, AI Studio, Vertex AI. They highlight EU data boundary controls for enterprise use on Vertex.
Anthropic.
API, Claude.ai. They note using standard contractual clauses, SCCs, for EU data transfers.
Microsoft Azure AI.
Azure Portal, API, Copilot. They offer EU data residency and specific EU data boundary commitments.
AWS AI.
IVA Bedrock, SageMaker, etc. They have multiple EU regions and specific GDPR resources.
Meta AI.
Access via partners, their app. But remember that EU data training policy controversy effective June 26.
And XAI Grok.
X Premium API upcoming Telegram integration. And that note about potential market perception concerns in Europe.
You mentioned APIs being vital. Just quickly, what is an API?
Sure. API stands for Application Programming Interface. Think of it as a messenger that lets different software programs talk to each other. Vital for integrating AI into your existing workflows or building custom tools.
And for the Lux EU market, the bottom line on vendor selection is
robust GDPR compliance, clear EU data residency options, preferably EU-based servers, and readiness for the EU AI Act. These are becoming non-negotiable selection criteria. Compliance is key.
beyond the platforms, we're seeing more LLM-powered AI agents or custom solutions for legal.
Yes. In a legal context, think of agents automating routine tasks, conducting research, analyzing documents based on rules, assisting decision-making, like intelligent assistants for multi-step processes.
What kind of tasks?
Initial contract review drafts, managing parts of e-discovery, advanced research synthesis, drafting assistance, maybe compliance or risk assessment checks.
If a firm wants to explore custom solutions,
Start narrow with a specific task. Use the agent building platforms from the major vendors, and crucially, design human oversight into the process from day one.
hallucination safeguards are even more critical for agents.
Right.
Due to potential autonomous action.
Absolutely. You must stress RAG, use reliable underlying LLMs, build in automated checks where possible, and always maintain a human in the loop for critical decisions or outputs. Capabilities are advancing fast, and commercial examples like Contract PODI's Leah are emerging.
Let's spotlight some specific LLM-driven tools or complementary AI already used in legal.
Okay. For document review, contracts, research, e-discovery, you see tools like Clio Duo integrated into Clio Manage. Co-Counsel by Thomson Reuters, formerly Casetext, known for its linked citations for verification. Harvey AI, built on OpenAI tech but customized for legal. BriefPoint for drafting discovery filings. Logical and Everlaw are established e-discovery platforms, some integrating with other tools.
And technology-assisted review, TAR.
Right. TAR is a well-established AI technique in e-discovery. Simply put, human lawyers review a sample, the AI learns their decisions, then rapidly categorizes huge volumes, flagging relevant docs for human review, speeds things up massively.
Many legal practice management tools are integrating AI now, too.
Yes. Clio Manage with Clio Duo is a prominent example relevant for the e-Luxembourg market.
What about EU compliance for a tool like Clio?
Clio states they are GDPR compliant, use data encryption, and offer EU server options via u.app.clio. They also publish AI principles. It's vital you understand their role, usually as data processor, and your firm's role as data controller under GDPR.
And general EU compliance for any AI tool used by lawyers here.
It's critical. GDPR means checking DPA's security data location. For AML-CFT, AI can assist, but the firm remains responsible. Luxembourg's updated NRA from May 26, 2025 might influence how AI use fits into your risk assessment.
And the EU AI Act.
Tools fall under its risk framework. High-risk uses, like injustice or employment, face strict rules from August 1, 2026. But the AI literacy requirement, Article 4, applies to all AI systems now, since Feb 2, 2025. You need to understand the tools you use well enough to assess risks.
So, bottom line for Lux EU adoption, EU compliance is non-negotiable. Vendor validation is crucial.
Absolutely. GDPR, EU data residency, EU AI Act readiness, you have to verify these.
Let's look at specific LLM-driven legal automation use cases relevant for Luxembourg EU.
Okay. Automated document drafting, initial drafts of basic contracts resolutions. In Lux EU, must use templates compliant with local EU law, consider multilingual needs.
Regulatory change monitoring, scanning EURLX, LegLX, CSSF.
Powerful potential, but accuracy and hallucination concerns are absolutely critical here. Ideally use RG on official sources, but human verification of AI summaries is non-negotiable.
Due diligence, say, in investment funds or corporate deals.
AI can analyze documents, yes, but the parameters must align strictly with Lux Fund rules, UCITS, AIFs, or EU directives, AIFMD, MiFID II. Context is everything.
Compliance checks, AML, KYC.
AI could extract info from KYC docs, do initial checks. but consequences of errors are severe. Rigorous human verification is mandatory.
Translation of legal documents between EU languages.
The AI can offer drafts, but accuracy concerns are high. Legal translation needs precision, nuance. AI output needs careful review by qualified translators or bilingual lawyers.
What about costs for these automation use cases?
Varies hugely. Token-based APIs versus subscriptions versus custom builds. Costs add up per token, document, or user. Requires careful cost-benefit analysis. Google's thinking budgets idea is an example of trying to provide granular control.
Okay, let's transition now to the bedrock.
Oh.
The latest new laws and regulations impacting AI, data, and related areas in Luxembourg and EU law, based on official sources around late May 2025 and upcoming.
Right, starting with the European Union. The big one is the EU AI Act regulation, EU 2024-1689, entered into force August 1st, 2024, but it's phasing in.
What's active or imminent?
The ban on certain AI practices, Article 5, unacceptable risks like social scoring and manipulative AI became effective February 2, 2025. The Commission issued initial guidance on this Feb 4th.
And crucially for everyone listening,
The AI literacy requirement, Article 4, also effective Feb 2, 2025, requires providers and deployers, including law firms using AI, to ensure staff have sufficient literacy skills, knowledge of risks, harms, applies to all AI systems.
what's next for the AI Act?
Obligations for providers of general-purpose AI, GPAI models, and penalties apply from August 1st, 2025. Includes transparency rules. Providers were expected to have codes of practice ready by May 2nd, 2025.
And high-risk AI systems.
The really stringent obligations, risk management, data quality, human oversight, apply mostly from August 1st, 2026, with some later in 2027. High-risk areas include justice, employment, finance.
The European AI Office is key here.
Central role. They're working on codes of practice, guidelines, launch consultations like Apply AI Strategy, deadline June 4th, 2025, and use of data to develop AI, deadline July 18th, 2025. Monitoring their output is essential.
Anything else from the EU regulators?
The ESMA issued a statement on AI and investment services back on May 30th, 2024. Guidance for firms using AI with retail clients, stressing MiFID II compliance, client best interest, identified risks like bias, opacity, over-reliance, they're monitoring. Note the related May 21, 2025 call for evidence on retail investor journey.
And the new digital identity wallet.
Commission Implementing Regulation, EU 225847 on EDI wallet security breaches, was adopted May 6, 2025. Effective late May, sets rules for reacting to breaches, severity assessment, procedures, info obligations.
Also, amendments to the benchmarks regulation.
Yes, Regulation EU 225914 adopted May 7, 2025, affects SNOPE, use of third country benchmarks.
Any major AI court cases recently?
No major AI judgments from the CJU General Court late May, but the General Court annulling the Commission decision refusing NYT access to texts May 14, 2025 is relevant for transparency. And remember, the older Amazon CNPD GDPR fine case in Luxembourg from March 2025, big risks there.
So the EU AI Act is really a living regulation.
Exactly. Unfolding through phases, guidelines, consultations. Continuous monitoring is key.
Okay, shifting to Luxembourg developments. Implementing EU law and strengthening national frameworks.
Right. A big one is the updated National Risk Assessment, NRA, of money laundering, published May 26, 2025, covering 2020-2023.
Implications for lawyers.
Significant, especially if your firm is an obliged entity. You must review and adjust internal AML-CFT policies, procedures, risk assessments based on these national findings and identified threats.
What else from Luxembourg regulators?
CSSS Circular 25892 on ICT incident cost losses under DORA, issued May 2025. Applies joint ESA guidelines on estimating costs from major ICT incidents per DORA. Highly relevant for financial entities under DORA in Lux. Lawyers advising them need to know this.
A national cybersecurity focus.
Yes, a rectificative to the arrêté on the Interministerial Committee for Cyber Prevention and Cybersecurity was published May 23, 2025. Shows ongoing governmental coordination.
What about the Parliament, the Chambre des députés?
Draft Law 8089 on electronic signature and archiving got a positive first constitutional vote May 15, 2025. Aims to modernize e-signatures archiving for administrative acts.
Significant for digital interaction with the public bodies, then.
Absolutely. And Justice System News highlights ongoing AML enforcement. Edmund de Rothschild convicted May 22nd, 25M confiscation. Also a new cross-border judicial cooperation protocol signed May 13th. And again, that Amazon CMPD GDPR fine decision from March 18th underscores data protection risks.
So Luxembourg is proactive. Monitoring national measures and guidance like the NRA is crucial.
Meticulous monitoring, yes.
Okay, let's quickly summarize the key regulatory changes again.
EU AI Act. Ban on certain practices and AI literacy requirement active now, February 2, 2025. GPAI obligations penalties from Aug 1st, 2025. High-risk rules phasing in from Aug 1st, 2026. New EUDI wallet security rules effective late May 2025. ESMA guidance on AI and investment services, MiFID II.
And in Luxembourg, updated AML NRA published May 26, 2025 requires internal policy review. CSSF Circular 25892 gives specifics on DORA ICT incident costs for financial firms. National cyber coordination continues. Draft Law 8889 modernizing e-signatures is moving forward.
So the practical implications for lawyers, clients, industries, and LuxEU. AI Act compliance is huge, advising clients on classification, high-risk rules, prohibitions. Firms need internal AI literacy, tool risk assessment. Industries need to inventory AI systems, assess risk,
Data protection interaction.
advising on GDPR, compliance with AI, scrutinizing DPAs. Clients need to understand EU consultations on data use for AI.
Cybersecurity. DORA.
Guiding financial clients on DORA compliance, ICT risk management, incident reporting per CSSF circular. Financial sector clients must implement measures, test resilience, report costs.
AML-CFT.
Updating advice based on Lux NRA. Considering AI for compliance and potential misuse risks, obliged entities must adjust processes per NRA.
It really highlights the convergence, doesn't it? AI, data, cyber, AML are all interconnected.
Deeply. AI uses data, creates cyber risks, impacts AML. Legal advice needs that holistic cross-disciplinary view now.
This compliance landscape also means reviewing and amending documents, right?
Absolutely. Client engagement letters may need AI use disclosures. Internal AI use policies are essential data input rules, verification, ethics, training.
DPAs. Risk framework.
Data processing agreements need scrutiny for GDPR Act alignment. Risk management frameworks must incorporate AI risks, bias, hallucination, security.
AML policies. Employee handbook.
AML-CFT policies need to reflect the Lux NRA, document any AI use. Employee handbooks training materials need to cover AI literacy for the AI Act. Privacy notices may need updating for AI data processing.
And AI providers have their own documentation requirements under the AI Act.
Extensive ones, technical docs, conformity assessments, instructions.
Let's wrap up with key dates and deadlines to track.
Okay, June 4th, 2025. Deadline for EU consultation on Apply AI strategy, July 18th, 2025. Deadline for EU consultation on use of data for AI development.
AI Act dates.
August 1st, 2025. GPAI model obligations and penalties apply. August 1st, 2026. Main high-risk system provisions apply. Remember, AI literacy and prohibited practices bans effective since Feb 2, 2025.
Other recent dates.
Late May 2025, EUDI wallet security regulation rules apply. May 2025, CSSF Circular 25892 DOR ICT costs issued. May 26, 2025. Lux AML NRA published implies Q3, Q4 2025 action for firms.
In general,
Ongoing monitoring of European AI Office and national authorities is vital. Keep detailed compliance calendars.
okay, let's end with a provocative thought. We're seeing this rapid AI tech evolution, massive context windows, better reasoning colliding head-on with accelerating regulation across AI, data, cyber, AML. It means legal practice in the EU and Luxembourg faces continuous complex change.
Yeah, the core challenge isn't just understanding the AI tools, it's mastering that intricate, overlapping web of compliance obligations.
And helping clients navigate risk where the rules are still unfolding. So the question for you is, how will your practice adapt? Not just to use these tools, but to effectively advise clients and ensure your own compliance in this perpetually dynamic environment where proactive, cross-disciplinary legal expertise isn't optional anymore.
Food for thought indeed.
This podcast contains content generated or significantly edited using artificial intelligence tools. All information is provided for general informational purposes only and reflects knowledge available at the time of publication. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. We recommend that listeners verify the information independently and consult with qualified professionals for personalized advice. Hit that like and subscribe button. It was the AI Law Briefing podcast for you this week.